In this video, we are talking about the 7.9 two-dimensional arrays. A two-dimensional array is like several identical arrays put together. It is useful for storing multiple sets of data. To declare the two-dimensional array, we use the similar notation, but we use two brackets for using two indices. In this example, the first index that denotes the row number and second index denotes the column number. For example, if we use the expression like that, the score 1 and 2, it denotes the value in the second row and third column. The best way to understand two-dimensional array is to think of the array of the array. For example, when we declare two-dimensional array, we have a one-dimensional array which has the array as an element. Hence, in this example, we have a one-dimensional array with 3 elements, and each element is also the array with 4 elements. Now let's look into the detailed code example for initialization. In this example, we will declare the two-dimensional array. The name is score. It has double type and 3 rows and 4 columns. Like I said, we can think of this array as the one-dimensional array with 3 elements. And each element is also array. It has 4 elements. Thus, when we say score 0, it denotes the first element. And also we say score 0, 2, it denotes the first element in array and the third element inside of the first element. Now let's make a code for this two-dimensional array initialization and then print out all elements. We can give the initial values with 3 sets of list values. The first set is for the first row, and of course, the second and third set is for the second and third row respectively. And then we are making the code to print out all elements. We need the nested for loops. The first loop is to traverse all 3 rows, and then the second loop is to traverse all 4 columns in each row. For example, when the first outer iteration, the value I is 0, it means that we are working with the first row. In line 16, the first index of score array is 0. At this time, the inner for loop has 4 iterations, and the j value goes through from 0 to 3. Thus, it goes over all elements in first row. After that, the outer value I will be 1, and we are now working with the second row. Similarly, the inner loop value will be changed from 0 to 3, hence, we go through all elements in second row. After that, in the same way, the third row will be printed. Run this program and check out the results. All values are printed row-wise by this program. In this example, the extra braces that enclose the each row initialization list are optional. Now we can change the initial value without extra braces. All values are assigned based on the row-wise manner. Here is a quick question for you. For the ninth value in this initialization, how can you get the exact row index and column index in this two-dimensional array? Here is the answer. The quotient of 9 minus 1 division by 4 is row index, and 9 modulus 4 minus 1 is the column index. Hence, the element of the score array 2 and 0 has the value 100. Anyway, this example has the same initialization values as the previous example. So now let's run this program and check out the results. We can see the same result as the previous example. Now let's check another concept. the passing to the array as a function argument. Here is a simple rule. When we pass to the array, just use the array name. And then, when we receive as a parameter in the function, it must contain the number of columns. More specifically speaking, it can be regarded as one-dimensional array, which has element that is an array with 4 elements. Now let's make a code example to pass to the arrays to the function. I'm going to make some change on previous example. I will define new function. The name is printArray with the parameter to the array, and it has 4 columns. The parameter name in the function is capital M, and I'm going to make a call statement in the main function. Now it looks great and it works fine. But here is one thing we have to be careful to make this code. Inside the function, how do you know the number of rows? The column size was given, but the row size was not given. Thus, when you pass to the array, we have to give the size of rows together. Now I'm gonna expand the parameter to get the row numbers. And here I will give the array name with the size of rows and check out the results. It works fine, it shows all elements. This is the way of passing to the arrays to functions. Now let's make some programming examples to practice the traverse to the array. The first one is the program that gets the total summation over the all elements to the array. I'm going to make a for loop to look over all elements. The first outer loop is for accessing the all rows, and then the second inner loop is for accessing the all columns. In this example, we call the function to get the total summation of elements. The function name is sum2d, and first parameter is array, and second and third parameter is the number of rows and columns respectively. Like I said, when we call the function, we use just array name. But when we receive the array in the function heading, we have to specify the column size. I want to say again, it can be regarded as the array of the array. We have the array, and its element is also array with 5 elements. Once we have received the array as the parameter, we can use the same notation as to the array. In the first outer iteration, the value I is 0, so we can access all elements in first row in the inner for. J value will be changed from 0 to 4, thus all first row values are summed to the variable sum. As we continue to have outer iteration, all values are summed, and then the variable sum should be returned to the main function. Now let's take a look inside the second example. In this example, we're gonna get the sum of each row. We have 5 rows, thus we need 5 sum values for each row. To store these sum values, we use another one-dimensional array. Its name is sum. Now let's take a look closer at the function called line 20. To calculate the sum, we call the function sum2d by row. The first parameter is the one-dimensional array to store the sum of each row. When we call the function, this array is filled with the initial value 0. After the function call, this array will be filled with the corresponding sum values by the function. The second parameter is to the array to get sums, and third and fourth are row and column size. At line 29, the value I, it is used as the index of array. It will be changed at every iteration. Thus, whenever we change the row, we can store the sum to the different index array. Now let's take a look inside the third example. The purpose of this example is to get the sum of each column. There are 5 columns, so we need 5 sum values for each column. This example is very similar to the previous one. Hence, we needed to fix a little things about the index of a for loop. Let's take a look closer inside the function. There are 3 differences to the previous example. First, the outer for loop is for the columns, not the row. And second thing is the inner for loop. It is a loop for the row traverse. And the last thing is the index position at line 29. We use the j as the row index and the value I as the column index. These two loops work like this. In the first outer loop, it accesses the first column, and then the next iteration look over the second column. And then every rest of iteration works with corresponding columns. In other words, when the value I is 0, the value j will be changed from 0 to 4. And also we are doing same work when the value I is 1. Until the value I is 4, we are doing the same thing repeatedly. Hence, by this nested for loop, we can get the sum of columns. The next slide is two-dimensional array with character string. I'm going to show some code to remind the C-string array. Now let's make a one-dimensional array for character string. Once we declare character array and initialize with some string, we can make the print statement by using just array name without index. It means that the whole string will be printed. Also, we can make print statement another way by using the for loop. In this loop, we can also print out the individual character. To do this, first we need to know the ranks of character, and then inside the loop, we print each character by using the index. The difference to print statements is that the first one is to use whole string with the array name, and second way is to use individual character by using the loop. These two statements shows the same results. Now I'm going to make a two-dimensional array for C-string. I want to make array to store 4 strings. 4 strings are C programming, Java, Python, and Perl. As I need a one-dimensional array to store C-string, but C-string is also array as itself. Hence, it must be declared two-dimensional array. In this example, I declared the array which can store 10 strings. And also, each string can store up to 100 characters. Now let's make the print statement for each string. Since we have 4 strings, I'm going to make a for loop with 4 iterations. We can see the 4 strings in our screen. In this example, at line 13, the notation C-string with the index means that the one character array that has the string. And also we can make another form of print statement by using the individual character as we used in previous example. To do this, we need one more loop to print individual characters, and also we need to know the exact size of each string. The two ways of print statement shows the same results. In this example, we check the concept why we need the two-dimensional array to use the C-string array. Simply speaking, we need one-dimensional array for C-string. But C-string is also array. Hence, it requires two-dimensional array.